One of the biggest developments in recent times has been the driver swap at AlphaTauri. While many accepted that Nyck de Vries was on shaky ground, his abrupt firing still came as a shock to many. Some have questioned Daniel Ricciardo's move to join the lowest placed team in the championship just months after choosing to sit out because he didn't want to drive for one of the smaller teams. Here's a look at all the interesting angles associated with this story. I'm your host Dillon Shelley, and first up on Formula World, are Red Bull aware of Daniel Ricciardo's true ambitions? One of the big questions facing Daniel will be how far he can push the 2023 AlphaTauri, arguably one of the slowest cars this year. Daniel, while speaking to F1's official website, gave his views on this. I appreciate the car's going to have its limitations. I'm sure they're probably just lacking some overall downforce and things like this. But I think if it's a car that feels balanced, it might not have as much grip as the Red Bull I drove a few days ago. That's something I can work with. The car will be what it is. I'm going to drive it and work from there. I don't want to get too much preconceived ideas. He then pointed out the positive side of it if he were to get a decent result. It's been tough to get a points finish this year, a top 10. So to push this car and try to get it inside the top 10, I think that would get everyone pretty fulfilled and excited. The consensus right now is that Daniel Ricciardo has accepted the seat at AlphaTauri only because he has a chance to make it into the much more coveted seat at Red Bull in 2025. Ricciardo addressed this next. That's why it feels a bit like back when I was working my way up through it in the Red Bull family. That was it. If you get results, we'll keep pushing you. That's really like the mindset. Ricciardo's promotion has put an abrupt end to Nyck de Vries' F1 career. Some feel that his situation was handled harshly despite Nyck's struggles. Retired F1 driver turned pundit Martin Brundle highlighted this to Sky F1. Quite clearly to me, desperation has crept into his driving in recent races, quite a lot of desperation. He's got into some skirmishes he shouldn't have been in, and it's just been really sad to watch, because I think he's better than that. There's a long line: Sebastian Buemi, Jean-Eric Vergne, Jaime Alguersuari, Daniel Kvyat. You can add Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon, of young drivers who just got chewed up in that system. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner made a few honest admissions about the de Vries situation on the F1 Nation podcast. Look, Nyck is a very capable driver and a Formula E champion and Formula 2 champion. He's obviously got a lot of experience. He's not a young driver as such, from an age perspective, and I just didn't see how it fitted with the junior program. It was always a stopgap. For many, this reinforces the rumour that Horner was never in favour of Nyck in the first place, and he was always going to be a short-term option. It just turned out to be shorter than a lot of fans anticipated. Allegedly, this was because of Daniel Ricciardo's impressive driving during the Pirelli test, where he was apparently quicker than Lando Norris's second fastest lap in qualifying, as reported by F1's Lawrence Barretto. While little is known about the fuel loads and exact track conditions, Daniel's efforts were good enough to earn a call from Helmut Marko. Daniel revealed how that phone call went. I was like, okay, let's just hear what he has to say. I think that's probably the best thing, because sometimes you're trying to prepare yourself. What if he asks for this? So I thought, let's just hear him out and see what happens. I didn't really need to think much about it. These were the calls I used to get, and these were the moments they used to kind of throw in front of us. He also confirmed that there was no reluctance from his side. There was no question that I was going to say yes. It was just, I guess, the reality of, okay, it's going to happen pretty soon. It's worth noting that during the test that Daniel set his lap times in the best car on the grid. Driving the AlphaTauri in race conditions will, as many have suggested, be a big step down. The next few months at AlphaTauri will likely make or break his career, and Horner summed up the situation by confirming that he is aware of Ricciardo's long-term plans. He wants to pitch for a Red Bull seat in 2025. That's his golden objective, and he thinks this is the best route. Do you expect to see Daniel Ricciardo drive for Red Bull in 2025? Head over to my community page to vote in the poll and let me know what you think in the comments. And if you liked this video, feel free to subscribe and check out my others for all the latest in the world of Formula 1.